latest installment of Doc Hartree versus the World. I've been kind of hyping this episode up the last week and a half or so. I'm here with buddy of mine, Mr. Black, who's got some shit to blow your hair back. Say hi, Mr. Black.
How you guys doing out there?
Now, this is going to be a very guest-centric show because as he's educating you, he's also educating me. So you might hear me interject a couple things here and there for clarity's sake, but pretty much I'm going to let Mr. Black kind of run the show because just the small pre-interview that we did between each other, he has changed my outlook on the world, and that was in 5 minutes. So let's see what we can do in the next hour. So how about it, Mr. Black? You feeling up for it?
Feeling pretty good about it.
So we're dealing with the concept, like yesterday I was dealing with ghosts at the Stanley Hotel. This is far beyond that. I'm dealing in this episode with the not only extraterrestrials, not even in the issue of do they exist or they don't exist, but they do exist, and they've been with us for a very long time. Not only that, but our government and our major corporations are actually in on the whole deal. And we've got, from what I understand, a couple of secret space stations floating out there. What was the name of the program?
Solar Warden.
Solar Warden. That kind of sounds intimidating as it is.
Yeah.
So let's just, piece by piece, let's just go ahead and Solar Warden get started and what's it doing right now?
Well, Solar Warden began in the 50s, after they got all the Nazi technology and they learned how to warp out of this planet past the Van Allen belt.
No kidding.
Because typical rockets and craft cannot get past the Van Allen belt because it's 7,600 degrees and there's no known metal on this planet that will allow a craft to go past the Van Allen belt, which is basically as far as the moon. So you cannot go past the moon in any typical craft that we have unless you have the technology to warp out. So you have to be able to jump from Earth past the moon. Otherwise, you're not getting out of the plane with the craft. Any craft, any satellite will just disintegrate.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the highest heat strength metal we have is tungsten, which will handle 6,500 degrees, which is still 1,000 degrees under the Van Allen belt's temperatures.
So straight up, this is some sci-fi stuff. We actually have to figure out how to. Well, we figured it out, I guess. But the technology of warping space-time, sounds like a bed sheet. You got to wriggle it from 1A to
Right.
while you're folding it.
That's right. And they've had this technology, and they've had these equations for years. And basically, there's two types of mathematics that they're using. One that's fake, that we've all been taught from school and in college. It's a mathematical equations that make it so that we can't figure out nothing. They don't want us to figure out how to time travel. They don't want us to figure out how to warp. And the real mathematical equations are out there and are being used. They're just not to our advantage.
Wow. So pretty much the Newtonian calculus and stuff like that, that's pretty much what they've been using to keep us grounded.
Right.
Okay.
Basically, what it boils down to is there's no such thing as gravity and there's no such thing as time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are the two staples.
Gravity is once they've introduced gravity, it makes it impossible for the equations to work out, as well as time, because time is everywhere and all the time. And gravity is a myth. It's actually density is what you're dealing with. What you think is gravity is actually density.
That's why bigger objects have quote unquote higher gravity. It's not.
Right.
It's nothing to do with gravity, just the size of the object.
It's like an object it's like a boat that floats on water. Its specific density has to be less than 1, or it sinks into the ocean.
Okay.
The reason things fall to Earth is because the air's density
Oh.
is far less than 1. The amount of atoms mixed with the air is so dense anything falls through it.
Okay.
Yeah. And our planet actually spins, which would create a centrifugal force, which should be throwing everything off of it.
That's very
if you
true.
Think about it. So it's in a planet that spins at 1,000 miles an hour. Everybody should be flying up in the air, but for some reason we're not.
Okay.
And that's a whole nother show I'm going to do for you guys on the Earth, gravity and rotation and stuff that I got planned. So.
Okay.
But today I really want to get into the Solar Warden and the secret space Black Ops programs that they have out there that they've been lying to everybody about. What it boils down to is Solar Warden consists of about 5 main groups, and the first group patrols the inner four planets from a ship called the Nautilus. It's stationed behind the moon, so you can never see it. On the Nautilus, it has roughly 10 to 100 UFOs on it at any time that are all built by us, built by Lockheed. Um, we do have the technology. We do have human beings flying these things. So 90% of the time when you see one, it's usually us.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
usually us. Uh, in the past 2 years, all ETs, all aggressive ETs have been told to get off our world and out of our solar system. We've basically the past 2 years have been cleaning up our solar system with Solar Warden.
If I can pause you right there real quick.
Sure.
I don't mean to cut you off there. You're on a really good roll. Hostile ETs versus productive ETs. Can you give me a rundown of some of the basics?
Yeah, hostile ETs, pirates, coming in and abducting people, stealing our water, stealing our minerals. They come in, they fill up their craft, and they get out. Human DNA is the most sought out DNA in the entire universe
Really?
because they're easy to manipulate. We can be, throw us a book and tell us that this is what's going on, and we believe every word you say. So you think about it, you come in here and steal a bunch of humans.
So it's almost like the Clone Wars.
Yeah, you can breed them somewhere, stick them on another planet, and tell them that you're God, and they'll believe you.
Okay.
So,
no, I don't disagree with you there. My goodness.
So what we've been, that's why we're the most sought out, and we're good. We're good workers. We know how to do assembly lines. We build things. We're one of the best builders of any race out there. So our DNA is very sought out.
Okay. Let's go back to Solar Warden. I apologize.
Yeah. So Solar Warden, what you have is you have a group based on about five groups that it consists of. You have one group patrols the inner four planets, keeping pirates and unwanted ETs out and away from our inner planets. And then there's another group, and think of these craft as, the first group, the Nautilus, is a craft so big. Just imagine, just imagine, pulling around an island on a little boat and seeing an aircraft carrier for the first time in your life. That's pretty much what it's like in space. When you come around the dark side of the moon and there's all of a sudden this huge mothership craft, and that's the Nautilus. And that's what we use to protect the inner four planets. Now, the outer four planets, I'm not sure the name of the craft that they're using. In fact, I think they have two of them since it's such a vast region. But so that's the second group, the one that patrols the outer four planets. And then you have another group that patrols around our solar system, the outskirts of our solar system, letting the inner solar warden groups know if any hostile ETs are coming in or out.
Okay.
And then
that's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's pretty deep, and what's and it's all our soldiers. They're all augmented soldiers. They're all soldiers they're all involved in the 20 and back. Some are there for life, but I'll get into the 20.
You got this group out there protecting our solar system, keeping friendlies and hostile ETs in and out of our solar system. Because this solar system does belong to the humans, and we are taking over our solar system. It's just amazing the stuff that they've got out there that we have no idea. And if it wasn't for these guys that are finishing these tours, that are coming in whistleblowing on this whole situation, none of us would know. And I think it's amazing that all these technologies and things are starting to come to the light. Are starting to come to a light boiling point where it's all going to be known very soon.
Well, in this day and age, with the ease of information sharing, I can imagine that we're not going to have very much in the way of secrets, either government or corporation or otherwise, anytime soon. I mean, from very much longer.
Yeah. Well, you can thank Stephen Greer. Dr. Greer has been playing a major role in the Disclosure Project, and I really can't thank him enough for all the information and court hearings. He's really been trying to get all this stuff to come to light. But too bad the poor guy's running around with six bodyguards just to keep him alive throughout this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's a marked man.
Yeah, he's a marked man, and he doesn't care. He just keeps going at it. A lot of these other guys have tried to blow the whistle. They end up disappeared and things, and this guy, he just doesn't give up, and he's still out there, and he doesn't care. He just keeps letting us know what's going on.
Disappeared, suicided.
Yeah.
I heard a nasty trick involving a pack of cigarettes and boiling water that people use to like fake heart attacks in people that are like in their 30s. I'm not gonna disclose that here for the public at large, but it's in this day and age of Google, you can probably look it up. Not
Yeah.
encouraging that, but whenever you hear someone in their 30s, 40s, or even early 50s just dying of a suppressed heart attack, there's usually some nefarious means involved.
Yeah. Uh, so let me give you a rundown on how it kind of works. So basically, you got one solar warden. You know, they protect the inner and outer regions of our solar system. You got the guys that patrol the outer region of our solar system, keeping the hostiles in and out. You got all your major corporations in on this. We've got bases set up on virtually every moon off of every planet around our solar system. We've got troops from US, Russia, China, India, Japan,
Pretty much
Australia.
any country capable of having a standing army's got troops out
Yeah,
there.
all of our countries are in on this whole thing. It's a world. It's not just a United States program. The secret space program is the entire world is in on it, and it's one of the best kept secrets that we've had for years. It's just amazing though that you know. Sometimes I wonder are the people on this planet even ready for this type of thing? You know, had they found out about this years ago, people would flip out.
No, I don't disagree with you. So does that also kind of makes me think of a side tangent real quick? Like, are all these conflicts, these land conflicts that we're involved with, is that to keep us distracted from other things at large? Because a lot of these countries, you know, seem like they would be quote unquote enemies, but having our troops on the same moon.
Yeah, yeah. These are all little proxy wars. These are all. This is the we're dealing with the last days of the current corrupt cabal running our planet, and you know everyone's basically fed up with them. We want freedom. We want to join our space brothers throughout the universe. We want peace. We want love. Uh, it's got to end. You know, we've been this planet is quarantined from the universe. It's a prison planet because the people on it they're just not ready for the universe. I mean, if you think about what's going on down here on Earth, if any of us were to get loose and get out into the universe and get to another world, the amount of damage we could do to
Oh
another
yeah,
world is just phenomenal.
it's funny. There's a sci-fi author for kids. I think his name was Bruce Covell. He wrote the books like My Teacher's an Alien. My teacher took over. It was like all about these kids who find out their teachers are interplanetary beings, and
Right.
that was the number one thing that the space colonists said about Earth. We have to keep tabs on Earth because if you guys get out with your Earth nonsense,
Yeah.
we don't want you screwing our stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the construct that we live in. You know how it's based on money and war. You know this planet is a business planet. I believe. You know it's right now they're using all these proxy wars to sell ammo and in reality it's all about these wars are just to sell ammo and keep companies like Northrop and Lockheed in business and the corporations doing what they do and the oil companies making all kinds of money. But in return, all they're doing is destroying our planet. We've just in the last 200 years, we've destroyed this planet in such an intense way that this planet's been around 6.5 billion years, and in the last 200 years, we've almost completely destroyed it.
You know, we're usually it takes a catastrophic event like a comet hitting or the tropics to be rearranged through continental drift and shit like that. But people, we've managed to kind of force along the next big extinction.
Yeah,
We haven't seen an extinction of this massive of this magnitude coming along since the end of the Cretaceous period,
right,
and that was from a fucking comet. We're just here screwing the planet up.
right. Well, if you think about it, you know, we're one of the only races that we might not be a hostile. We might not think we're a hostile race, but another ET race, you know, we could be looked at as one of the most hostile races around because
I believe
we
it.
we let our people we let our people starve on this planet. We let our people go hungry. Even a cockroach won't let its babies go hungry. And here we are, human beings, supposed to have all this interest and power, and all we do is, you know, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and nobody cares about all the starving kids around the world and all the homeless people. You know, everybody just kind of turns a blind eye. That's not what this universe is about. And that's one of the reasons we're quarantined on this planet. And that's also one of the reasons why the Van Allen belt's there. So we don't leave. You know, it's like a gate. It keeps us in here.
So until we get our shit together, we're
Right.
not going to be allowed to play with everyone else.
That's right. We got a long ways to go.
Yeah, we do.
And you know what forced all this to come about. You know, there's a lot of ETs that have been watching us for a long time, and they all know what we're capable of, and they know what will happen if we're released into the universe. And they know we're not ready, but there has been a grand awakening, and people are waking up. And in the past 8 years, more people have woken up to what's going on than ever before in history, and people are ready. You know, people are ready to find out the truth. They're ready to know that the world isn't all there is. You know, and unfortunately, for most, it's going to destroy religion. You know, religion teaches one way when it's, you know, complete opposite out there in the universe, and you know, unfortunately, there's no room out in the universe for 10, 20 different religions.
I could agree.
You
I
know,
could agree.
all it's done is cause confusion and chaos on this world, and it's between religion and money.
Well, those are the two biggest causes of
Right.
what's going on with us, our stunted growth.
Yeah. You know, most normal worlds out there, if you told them what money was and introduced them to money, they wouldn't even know what to do with it.
Wow.
You know,
It's a completely foreign concept.
most worlds you go on to that have life and have normal. There's one language. They have everybody gets up, they go to work, they do their thing. If you need something, you go to the store and you get it. If you need a car, you're allowed a car. If your car breaks down, you take it to a guy, he fixes it. If you want to go on a cruise, you're allowed to go on one cruise a year, take your family. It's just everybody does something and everybody gets what they need. There's no overdoing it. Everybody's equal. Nobody has more power than the other. And in return, it's, you know, and there's no borders, there's no fences, there's no passports needed to go on different continents. You know, our world is such a prison layout, and we don't even see it because we've been on it for so long, and we've been dealing with this prison layout. To us, it's normal. You know, you can't go to Mexico without coming back without your ID or a passport. You can't get on a plane and go to Paris without having a passport. I'm sorry, but it's not like we're leaving the planet.
No, I agree.
You know, and why should all the people in Africa starve while everybody in the United States has got plenty of food and enough food here and water to feed the entire world? Same goes in Europe and Russia. You know, all these things that we've done, we've created our own prison, and then we wonder why we can't leave. I mean, it's so what's been happening is, you know, you've got a lot of alien groups out there. I don't like to call them aliens, and neither do they. They like to be called ETs. Um, you can always tell. You can tell the ETs that are up to no good because they're constantly interfering and intervening. The ones that have our best interests, they just sit out. They sit out in the Oort cloud and they just watch.
So they're I think I've heard them. Their strip is called the Watchers. I've heard that term before too.
Yeah, the ones most of your ETs that watch, they sit out in the Oort cloud, past the 9 planets, past the 8 planets, in the frozen ice uh, section out there. And what they do is, you know, most of them are the insectoids. You know, it's firm belief that the insectoids are the ones that seeded this planet.
Really?
If you look at what's going on, there's probably a million insects to one human on this planet.
No, you're right. We're actually in the geologically speaking, we're not in the age of mammals. We're in the age of insects.
You know, and the insectoids are the ones that I believe seeded this planet from the beginning. They're one of the oldest ET races in the universe, and you know, to be honest with you, there's a lot of races out there that they just want to eat us. A lot of people don't know, you know, that, you know, you got reptilians. There's hostile reptoids. There's hostile reptilians. You know, there's probably 10 different humanoids out there, and you know, we're all spread out. But for some reason, this planet it's a compression. What they've done is they've turned this planet into a compression of the entire universe, and they put everything on everything here, and it's like an experiment, you know. So back to what I was saying. You know,
Pretty much, that kind of reminds me. There's I'm not trying to cheapen your theory here, but one of the most understated and smartly written shows out there is South Park. There was a South Park episode where it was pretty much it staged Earth as a reality television show for extraterrestrials,
right?
and they have a bunch of different. You don't think that we'd actually put a you don't think like cheetahs and gazelles actually live in the same world, do you? They would eat each other.
Right.
So they're talking about the different races and the different people and the different animals and stuff like that. It's kind of like a planets are kind of unicentric, and then you have everything all on Earth interacting with each other, and it's pretty much a television show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd say television show, but it's definitely ripe for experimentation.
What they've done is they've taken about 20 different human races, and they've placed them all here. You know, the Anunnaki came here and did all this DNA manipulating and created all these races, you know, to mine gold initially. And, you know, generation after generation, you know, we finally figured out what they were doing and we refused to do what they wanted us to do. And they ended up giving up eventually. But the Anunnaki have ran this planet for 200,000 years. And it hasn't been until the last 20 years that we've actually taken back our sovereignty and ran them out. You know, and it goes all the way back to Planet X, Nibiru. Every 3,600 years, that planet comes around. The current leader of Earth, the current ruler of Earth, his time's up. He goes back to Nibiru. They send another leader down here. He wipes out all the history, all the records, does whatever damage he can to the Earth, starts his own way. Starts running things the way he wants shit run, with his story the way he wants it.
Oh wow!
And that's what they've been doing for the last 200 years. You know,
so when we hear stuff about in the Sumerian and the Bible, texts completely independent of each other, but they all talk about the flood. They always talk. I think the Gilgamesh was that Sumerian? Yeah, that was Sumerian. Text being like that the flood was actually a certain number of cubits, or the boat was a certain number of cubits, and the flood myth in both the Old Testament and the Sumerian text, it was the same dimensions for both the boat and the actual water level rising.
Right. Well, I believe Noah's Ark was a DNA database.
That's not unlike
I believe
the
it was a giant DNA container ship that kept the DNA of everything that they needed. They flooded the earth. They ridded it of the giants. They ridded it of all the bad creatures that were here that were wreaking havoc. And then
like
Nibiru came around, resetted everything. And we're living in this last section from the last leader that just came down over 4,000 years ago, and that's the time we're living in now. This Earth, I believe they've destroyed this Earth 2 times. This would have been our 3rd time of destroying the Earth, and 9/11 was a precursor of World War III, but we've intervened. We've stopped it. Let me tell you guys how it works. With Solar Warden, you've got Solar Warden, you've got the Galactic Federation of Light, you've got the insectoids in the Oort cloud,
okay,
and you have, most importantly, you've got the Time Police. Now the Time Police run out of 2010. So what they've done is to keep our planet from jumping to a different different timeline,
okay,
a different timeline. What they're doing is they keep certain people in power, because what they've done is they've been able to see us destroy our planet over and over and over. So what we're doing now is, with the Time Police, is they got this whole military branch that goes from 2010 to the future, to the past, and all they do is they make sure certain people live and certain people die, and certain events take place. And what they've they couldn't have done this without them, because that's what keeps our planet going. That's why we're all still here. That's why it feels like we always land on a giant mattress.
Oh.
Because when it seems like the shit's gonna hit the fan, when it seems like someone's gonna flip the switch and blow the planet up, it doesn't happen. And the reason these things don't happen is because of the Time Police.
No kidding.
And the Time Police, they use spacecraft, they use cars, anything they can to go back and forth through time to keep everything going in a certain direction, because they've seen the other timelines. There's infinite timelines on this planet of what can, you know, and it's all based on certain individuals and certain events. So certain things have to happen a certain way. Certain people have to die. Certain people have to live, and those events is what is keeping us going. And with the help of the Galactic Federation, the secret space, and the insectoids, they really just kind of sit back and watch all this, because they're to a point where if they see this planet get to a tipping point, they're just going to wipe us off of it,
Wow.
because our race is so fierce, and it's this planet. It's easier to wipe off human beings off this planet than it is to let the planet die, because we are killing this planet. And I believe the insectoids are the ones that we really need to be worried about. A lot of people are worried about the reptilians, and
Well, I'm guessing if the reptilians
And
wanted
the
us wiped
Greys.
out, we would have already been wiped out. You're
Yeah.
saying that the insectoids actually have the power to
the
just.
insectoids are the ones that are really running shit, because the insectoids are the ones that don't say nothing. They're the ones that aren't making themselves known, and they actually have the most power and the most technology out there. Now, it's pretty wild. I want to talk about the 20 and back on the secret space program. The secret space program, what they do is they if they want you, they're going to get you to end this program, and you don't know about it. You're not. It's not something you can say, "Oh, I want to sign up for the secret space program." No, they'll take you when you're 18, 17, 16. It don't matter. They'll take you and introduce you to the situation. They'll train you for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years sometimes, and then bring you right back through time to where they found you and put you to work on Mars. Fighting the reptilians through the 80s. A lot of stuff happened in the 80s and 90s. There's a lot of changes took place, and what they did was the reptilians had full control of the solar system. And the reptilians are the ones. When I say reptilians, it's Anunnaki, reptilians. It's all the same difference. However you want to look at it, that's who's been running things, causing all the problems on this planet. So we had to get them off of Mars because they'd completely infiltrated Mars, and we had a lot of things we had to do, and we had to send a lot of troops up there. Now, when they take you for this 20 and back, they turn you into an augmented soldier. An augmented soldier, each one, our military spends at least $100 million on.
Wow.
And when I say augmented, I really mean augmented. I mean, these guys, the suits they wear, it's kind of like a Halo.
So we're talking
game.
like straight up Master Chief kind of thing.
Yeah, this is the Halo thing is definitely someone's onto something when they came out with that game. These guys can see bullets coming at them from 5 miles away. They can see, you know, enemies 5 miles out with their helmets, and the helmets are tuned with their guns. They can shoot anything.
So their nervous system is linked to their heads-up display.
Yeah, their
to
heads-up
weapons.
display and their weapons are all integrated.
Crazy.
And here's the crazy part, say you do get hit by something out in the field and you're an augmented soldier doing the 20 and back. Say you get hit in the arm and you lose an arm and your guys grab you and they take you back to base. They actually will stick your arm, your shoulder, or whatever's left of you, they'll stick you in this machine, which they already have your DNA makeup program for
Okay.
each soldier, and they stick you in this machine, and this machine attaches to the limb or the nub or whatever's missing, and it's able to trick the brain into believing that the limb is still there and begins regrowing it back cell by cell.
Wow.
And depending on the damage, like if you got your arm just ripped apart, it could probably grow back in 2 hours. If your arm's completely got blown off, it takes about 6 to 8 hours for it to grow back. And anything from an arm to a limb to even if half your head gets blown off,
Ooh.
as long as your soul is still connected electronically to your brain, they can bring you back.
No shit.
So if the guy takes too long to get back and he separates his astral mind, gets separated from his body, then that's it. Once you lose the astral, the electricity that's going to your mind, once the brain dies, that's it.
Gotcha.
But anything happens to you, your inside's blown apart, or your leg gets blown off, or they have the ability to grow you back and put your ass back to work the next day.
Wow.
And that's why they spend so much money on you. But the tour lasts for 20 years, sometimes 30 years, depending on training. But with uh, with the ability to bring you back through time, uh, it's longer for you, but they give you your time back. So in other words, you run. So you might do 10 years on Mars. You shooting at reptilians, killing reptilians, fighting insectoids, or whatever the case may be, and then you might do another 10 years with Solar Warden. They'll put you out in a UFO, flying around, um, protecting the inner solar system or the outer solar system. You may be on Mars in the skies of Mars, just keeping, you know, you got to realize how intense this Solar Warden program is. You know, they got craft that patrol every planet, every moon. And this thing is really big. It's a lot bigger than they tell us. The whole thing with NASA and, you know, the planes that we see in our skies, that's all just a front for what's really going on out there. It's just that most of us aren't ready to hear this, and most people will, you know, they won't know how to handle the truth and what's really going on out there.
Once you realize what you're, we we as humans, in our own little like world, so to speak, um, we're kind of either through religion or even just through ingenuity, we believe that we have a big place,
Yeah,
that we're like the big man on campus. This is our planet, yada yada yada. And so I think the humility that it would be for us to realize collectively that we are just a speck of dust in the grand scheme of things, dealing with intelligent life, other colonies out there. That would probably really like collectively wreak havoc on our psyche. But I mean, also in this day and age, though, we have a lot more people willing to accept that there's
yeah.
more out there.
You've got about 60% of the humans on this planet that are waking up to this theory now. So with the help of the Hollywood movies, with the new Independence Day that's coming out,
Oh yeah,
when it does surface, it's gonna be a surprise, but people aren't gonna freak out like they would have in the 50s and 60s.
oh yeah.
And if you'd have tried to come out with any of this in the 50s and 60s, people would have lost their mind and total chaos and anarchy would have broken out years ago.
I can see that happening.
So the cool thing with back to this 20 and back in the secret space, so you do your 20 years, you fly around, you do what they send you on all these missions, you know, um, and then when you're all done, they bring you back through time to when you were 18. You might be 40 years old, 50 years old, but they give you your time back.
No kidding.
They give you your time back, they give you a big chunk of cash, and they say, have a nice day. The bad news is, as you get older and you start becoming sick, there's no health benefits for you because everything you did was through the NSA and there's no record and they can't find any record and no one will give you any records of your existence in the secret space program. So hence the reason I know about these sort of things because these guys are getting sick and they are getting mad and they have written their Congress and nobody will help them. So what they've been doing is they've been letting it out on the internet, about what they went through. And I see if there was just one guy doing it, I wouldn't really believe it. But when there's 10, 20 guys coming back from the 20 and back, and now they're in their 50s and 60s and they're getting sick, and they can't go to the VA hospital. They don't have insurance. They ran out of money, and these guys are starting to blow the lid on this wide open. And I'm kind of glad. There's a lot of things going on out there that didn't make sense that make a lot of sense now. I'll tell you that.
And we have people from different walks of life who have no reason to collaborate, and they're all coming out with pretty much the same story.
Right.
That's where I start paying attention right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it's pretty wild because we're really going through a major disclosure announcement here shortly, and there's been a lot of things going on that we're not aware of. Just last month, all the reptilians have been told they had to leave our planet. The current leadership, the current cabal that's running everything, was all ran by one head reptilian guy that stays underground, and he's got all these helpers with him. And they were warned if they don't leave that the secret space and the Marines are going to go in and kill them. So they all scoured to get to these jump rooms. There was probably 100 jump rooms and portals throughout the world that they all scoured to get off world. And as a result, our secret space doesn't want these guys going to other worlds causing havoc. So we ambushed them all, and we killed over 1,000 reptilians, including the leader. That was last month around the 21st, April 21st.
Oh
So,
wow.
so it's been about a month since we've eradicated the reptilian leadership that have been wreaking all the problems on this world and wreaking havoc on this world. So, in the next few months, expect this to trickle down and things to start changing with humanitarian aid, um, prosperity funds. People are going to be, they're going to shut these banks down here very shortly for about 2 weeks. They're going to shut these banks down, and all these Rothschilds and Morgan Stanley and all these rich people that have all the 1% of the population that has 90% of all the money right now. They're going to be in for an eye opener when they wake up one day and all their money's gone, and everybody on this planet has their money.
I,
You know,
I'm kind of happy to be in a day and age where we can live through that.
what's happening is, the plan is to get rid of money altogether, but for right now, since that's all we know how to work with, they're going to shut these banks down. They're going to reboot them in about 2 weeks, and everybody's going to have money in their bank. Everybody's going to be going out buying cars, houses. Everybody. Oh, not only that, when they reboot this system, all debt, any cars you owe money on, any houses you paying on, it's all done. It's all resolved.
Wow.
It's all going to be a clean slate. So it's going to be some interesting times coming up here in the next few months. And I just hope the rest of this world's ready for it. And the biggest thing right now is we're trying to figure out when they shut these banks down how to keep everybody from going nuts. So communities are setting up food banks. Um, they want you to keep gas in your car. They want you to, when you get down to half a tank, they want you to fill your car up in the next few weeks, over the next few months. For when they do reset this currency, and I believe it's going to happen at the end of this month. So I would be prepared for this. It is coming. It's not something they've been talking about for a few years, but we are right there. They pretty much just got rid of the current leadership of this world that was wreaking all this havoc. So I believe it's time to reset the currency. Um, just be prepared. They're going to shut these banks down. Don't keep too much money in the bank, because if you keep a lot of it in there, it's not going to be there when it turns back on. But they are going to have. They're trying to come up with this new money, and they've already printed it, and it's I don't know if maybe you guys have heard of it. It's called the BRICS.
I've not heard of that. The bricks.
The BRICS is going to be the new currency throughout the entire world. It's going to be one currency. It's based on all the gold that we have on this planet, and China is going to be controlling most of it. And right now, they're just ironing out the details on who gets what and why and how much everybody gets, and so that when they reset these banks, everybody has. This is just an estimate off the top of my. I'm thinking they're going to reset the banks, and everybody's going to have about $250,000 in the bank. That's kind of what I've been gathering from what I've researched on and what I've been listening to. And these are just some very interesting times, and between the secret space, the Galactic Federation of Light, and the ground crew, the ground crew on Earth that have been really working hard to disclose all this. And you've even got people out there right now that are doing implant removals. Most people on this planet have no idea that they have implants in them, and the government's been tracking people for over 40 years now, and they got people out there doing implant removal, and most of these implants, they have Dow Corning written on the side of them.
Oh wow. Okay.
And these things can hear everything that you do. They can absorb frequencies. Part of the thing with all these new power meters that are, that transmit, they transmit this through the same frequency that the brain operates on.
Ooh.
So you can imagine the type of mind control that they've been implementing on human beings for quite some time now. The largest mind control manipulation machine ever produced is the television.
Oh, I believe that.
That thing is fierce, man. The TV can really do some damage.
I don't even have television in my house anymore.
Yeah, television can really do some damage, and a lot of people aren't aware of the actual damage that it can do.
Well, Mr. Black, We have a lot to digest here. We are at about just this side of 40 minutes.
Okay.
I want to have you back in 4 to 5 more installments, if that's okay with you.
Sure, I'd love to. I'd love to do some more shows with you.
But typically, this is not one of my usual podcasts where it's me and my friends bullshitting and laughing for. So I want this to sink in, and I think a 40-minute time would
Okay.
be a bit more acceptable than a full hour because
Yeah, yeah.
you've laid some shit on us.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's amazing.
Oh yeah, and you guys can feel free to do your own research. You know, all you got to do is Google Solar Warden, um, and you'll see how it all works. It's all right there, and it's not hidden. The information's there. There's quite a few things.
And feel free if you have any information or if you want to like share any of your experiences, feel free to post in the comments section.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to cut this broadcast off right now. I want to thank you immensely, Mr. Black, for taking his time to speak to us.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
This is Doc Hartree signing out. Thank you, everybody.